Hello guys and welcome to this special tropical outlook. This is my very first video of the year 2022, as you guys can see. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be going over my preliminary predictions for this upcoming hurricane season. And what I'm probably going to do here is I'm going to be doing a preliminary forecast on the first of every month until we start hurricane season. And on May 1st, I will have my final preliminary forecast for the Atlantic hurricane season. So without further ado, let us take a look at the CFS version 2 here. And this is the accumulated precipitation anomaly for these current months in time. So we're going to go to May here, and as you can see, CFS is kind of dry in February, May, or March, April. I mean, the subtropics look alright and parts of the really deep tropics in April, but we don't look here in April in the deep tropics. So, maybe we might get some subtropical activity because, that's just what it looks like right now. And here we are for May here. And as you can see, we got some spotty spots here in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Florida Straits, parts of the Bahamas. This definitely has some precipitation here. It's not a whole lot, but it looks to me as if CFS has a little bit of a dry bias to it. But, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like it has a dry bias to it. We might have some spots here to watch in some small spots here in May to watch in the subtropics as well. June, as you see, we're starting to get some precipitation here in the Caribbean, but once again, June isn't typically your Caribbean hotspot. It's normally the Gulf of Mexico, subtropics and what have you, and we do have precipitation in the Gulf of Mexico and the subtropics. So, June be an area to watch for these places here. As you can see, there's a lot of dry spots here too. So we'll see how this has planned out as we go out through time. July, as you can see, we have a spot going here in the MDR region. July is normally when we start to watch this area for anything bubbling up, but it's still not very active in the MDR in July. As you guys know, we had Elsa in the MDR this past year, so we can get these MDR systems in July, but they're not that often. So as you can see, there's just a whole bunch of dry here in the Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean. This like I said, may look like CFS may have a dry bias here, but we do have some precipitation here near the waters of Florida, and obviously some in the subtropics. July, as you can see, none of the Gulf of Mexico, none of the Caribbean is favorable at all, and parts of Western MDR. What we see here is parts of the extreme Eastern MDR and Central MDR that's probably the most favorable here, but it looks like the tracks go out to sea pretty much in this precipitation forecast. And there could be something that may try to boil up here near the coast, East Coast, as we go through that portion of time. September, this is as far as we can go out apparently. Let me refresh. Yeah, this is as far as we can go out September. And as you can see, it's a whole lot of the same thing for the Gulf of Mexico and the the Caribbean, just a whole bunch of dry. That's the dry bias if I ever seen one, to be honest. Here's the MDR, as you can see, tracks here between 20 and 40 west, and it pretty much goes out to sea. So there's that. Now we're going to take a look at the CFS wind shear anomalies here, and as you can see, there's this whole blue here that is favorable shear, and as you can see, the red is unfavorable shear. So with that being said, it has a pretty big area of favorable shear here in February and what have you. March, all the same. Favorable conditions in the spots that you may see something pop up in these early months of the year. We got this huge MDR red stop sign here, as you guys see. And as we go into April, this starts to change a little bit. It looks like the MDR shear is starting to back off a little bit, and the blue is starting to take over. And as you can see, by May, most of the shear is completely gone from the CFS. And I don't know, by the looks of the precipitation, I mean, shear is a big part of it, but you need the precipitation to be there in order for something to take advantage of the favorable shear. And we in some places we just do not see that at all, like in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. June, as you can see, the favorable shear starts to really take over here. June is the official start of the hurricane season, and as you can see, most of the spots where you see tropical cyclone activity, the shear is favorable. July, favorable to where you see most of the tropical cyclone activity. As you can see, a big piece of negative, anomalies here, not negatives, but positive anomalies, are shown off the MDR, which is unfavorable. And as you can see, that unfavorable wind shear follows it all the way into the Caribbean. And now you can see that the shear is starting to take over a little bit. But as we go into September, it starts to ebate a little bit, and it looks like it's a mix between good, favorable, and unfavorable wind shear going into September. So, like I said, October for some reason is not loading up, so we'll go right to the CanSIPS here. And the CanSIPS is going to tell you a completely different story from what the CFS shows. And as you can see here, this is January. We're not going to mess around with that too much. But as we get into May, typical places where you see activity is moisture. It's not a whole lot of moisture, but it's enough moisture to maybe pop up something that is subtropical in nature come May. And I do predict we might have another May start or sooner. So we'll see how that plays out as we go out through time. So Gulf of Mexico, typical hotspot. Caribbean, you don't really look at the Caribbean in May, so we'll go on to June. And as you can see, this MDR pocket of moisture is starting to creep north a little bit. So that's telling you that the Atlantic El Nino is evading at this point, if it's not already evaded. So typical hotspots, check, good to go. July, as you can see, the MDR pocket is creeping north some more. So, the farther north, this is typically when that pocket of moisture in the MDR is farther north, that has a better chance of going out to sea. If you have it farther south near the equator, it has a better chance of running right into the South America. But this right here, this is perfect for anything crossing the Atlantic to go right into the Caribbean or north of the islands and possibly affect the United States. So, like I said, we had Elsa in July this last year. So, who knows? We might have another Elsa-like system in July to mess with. And God knows we don't need any of that. Even though it wasn't that bad, it was still something to behold. All right, so August here, and as you can see, greens are popping up everywhere now, and pretty much CanSIPS wants a 2005 2.0. That's yet to be remain to be seen, but that's what CanSIPS is pointing out right now. So we will see that reflected in some of the numbers that we will look at towards the end of the video. But as you can see here, the MDR pocket doesn't extend. It doesn't move north too much during the course of a month here from July and August. So this is still in prime area to go into the Caribbean or go north of the islands. And as you can see, now we're starting to get some precipitation going here in the Gulf of Mexico, which is never good. And as you can see, September is more of the same, but more powerful activity is popping up in the MDR, Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. There's a lot of moisture here that these tropical systems can work with. And, if CanSIPS gets its way, we're going to be looking at one hell of a season come next year. And we definitely don't want that. October, more of the same. Moisture, and more moisture everywhere. And then to cap things off in November, it looks like still a lot of moisture here. So like I said, if CanSIPS gets its way, we could be looking at a pretty active late season as well. So now we're going to take a look at the wind shear anomalies here. And to start things off, like I said, because of the last 7 years, we've had May starts. So now we're going to be taking a look at May's now instead of looking only at June. So as you can see in June, most of the places where you typically see activity in May, Gulf, and just off the Florida coast, it's a battle between good wind shear and bad wind shear. So May is going to be interesting to look at. And as we go into June, both the unfavorable and favorable start to abate a little bit, and we get more of a neutral phase in some areas that you typically see, stuff that time of year. July, Caribbean is starting to get that, it's starting to lose some of that favorable wind shear, but still favorable nonetheless. And as you can see, as we go into August, some of that wind shear starts to link back together to form this block from the unfavorable wind shear. But as you see here near Florida, we do got a pocket of unfavorable wind shear. So even if the wind shear is good, if a system is good in the shear in the blue, it goes right into the red, that's going to disrupt it no matter what. September, wind shear is still trapped here. The bad wind shear is trapped here near the coast, southeast coast here. So it's being consistent for the last number of months here. But as you can see, the places where you most likely look at for tropical development is all favorable shear here. So that's not really a good look to that shear department there. And as you can see, October and November are literally no different. So like I said earlier, the CanSIPS is predicting a super active season for next year. So, we're going to see if the CFS, caves to the CanSIPS, or if CanSIPS caves to the CFS. Like I said, there's a wide variety of predictions that we're going to be looking at, and mine is in the middle of a lot of them. So we'll get to that here shortly. All right, so here's the sea surface temperatures. Now we're looking at the current point in time. And as you can see, the Caribbean is still pretty warm. Like there's pockets of 29s, 28s, 27s, and there's still 26s and 27s here in the Gulf of Mexico too. So, the cold fronts coming into the Gulf of Mexico haven't been particularly strong. So that's why some of the, the sea surface temperatures really haven't abated that much since the end of the hurricane season. But as you can see, there are some 19s, 20s, 21s, 22s, and all that cold stuff here on the shelf waters. So as you guys can see, going into Florida Straits, we got some 26s, 27s, which is pretty much safe for tropical cyclone development. We even got some 27s and 26s creeping up here in the Gulf Stream too. So right now the temperatures are there's some areas that are above average for sea surface temperatures, but we'll have to see how that goes through later on. All right, so here is the sea surface temperatures for the Eastern Caribbean and the MDR regions, and as you can see, these are temperatures that are well good enough for hurricane activity even still. But as you guys know, wind shear isn't really all that great this time of year for any development. Little fun fact here: we are on the list with Alex on it. In January of 2016, Alex was a hurricane. Will history repeat itself? I don't think it will, but can we get an early Alex? That might be a possibility. But anyways, fun facts out of the way. Most of these temperatures are warm enough to support tropical cyclone activity. And as you can see here, off the west coast of Africa, there's 28s and 29s that are still here. This is warm. This is very warm still here in the eastern MDR. And my fear is that those won't cool down that much going forward. So we could see some 30s to 32s in here come hurricane season, and that's totally not out of the realm of possibility with these sea surface temperatures still this warm. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the CDAS Niño 3.4 index, and as you can see, we've been under that magical 0.5 negative for months now, 3 months at least. And as you can see, it's gotten below one time, and now we're going on this roller coaster ride, and now it's finally starting to dip back again. This is a negative 1.070, and this is at moderate La Nina territory right now. So the La Nina is strong with this one, and we could see this go down even farther as we go out through time. With that being said, from here on, every other day, I'm probably going to do a hurricane off-season discussion every other day now. So just to look at the CDAS temperatures in the Niña 3.4 index. So look forward to that. I know I'm going to be looking forward to that. Probably won't be as long as this one, but this is for forecasting reasons. So obviously it's going to be longer. So right now we're in the negative ones. So this may go down even more than this as we go out through the next couple of weeks. All right, so here's now the time where we're going to be looking at all the numbers here. There's about 6 or 7 of us, plus CSU and TSR numbers. So we're going to take a look at those. I'm going to have other statistics too. So without further ado, let's get into them. Predictions. Weather Hub TV. A good friend of mine. Name storms 15 to 21. Hurricanes equals 7 to 11, and major 4 to 6. Danilo Evangelista, another good friend of mine. Name storms 16 to 18. Hurricanes 8 to 10. Majors 4 to 6. Matthew Shoes. Name storms 17. Hurricanes 8. Majors 4. Anthony. Name storms equals 19. Hurricanes 9. Majors 5. Colorado State University. Name storms 13 to 16. Hurricanes 6 to 8. Majors 2 to 3. TSR name storms 18. Hurricanes 8. Majors 3. Now here are my predictions. My first predictions here. Like I said, mine is somewhere in the middle between CFS and CanSIPS models. So I'm not going to go overboard with it since they're showing two completely different things. So my numbers for the first preliminary forecast is 16 to 18 named storms, 7 hurricanes, 7 to 11 hurricanes, and 3 to 5 majors. Chances for El Nino, La Nina are neutral is El Nino is 20%, neutral equals 50%, La Nina is 30%. So here's my chances for below average, average, above average, and hyperactive activity. Below average equals 10%, average equals 20%, above average equals 35%, and hyperactivity is 25%. And this is my first preliminary ace count for the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season. It's 132 ace. Now these may change throughout the months going forward. We're just going to have to see how everything else behaves. But those are a couple of the predictions that other people have in my statistics for the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season. All right, before we take off here, I want to give out a few shout outs to a few of the people that put predictions on this video. First is Weather Hub TV, like I said, a good friend of mine. He puts out some good content when he has the time. So, if you want some good content, go over and watch his videos. Maybe subscribe to him if you like the content. All right, so here's Danilo Evangelista. He doesn't really upload all that much, but I'm gonna give him a shout out anyways. So maybe he comes back and do some videos later. When he does do videos, he does have some excellent content. So keep on the lookout, and if you like the content, subscribe. Anyways, that is all I have for tonight. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll have some more videos here shortly. Have a nice day.